Hello everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. I am Derek and welcome to Zelda Theory, your number one source for all things Zelda. Now let's jump right into the video today and consider something. Mostly every single Zelda game to date has a quest that makes Link go and find the Master Sword. From the original Ocarina of Time to Breath of the Wild, the Master Sword is easily one of the most iconic items in the series. The question I'd like to ask you today is, how exactly will the Master Sword work in the sequel to Breath of the Wild? From actually retrieving it to the actual process of using the Master Sword. Here's my theory. Do you guys remember in Skyward Sword when you were in the Silent Realm and you had to get all of the power-ups in the Silent Realm? I think that in the sequel to Breath of the Wild, they should bring that back in a way. In Breath of the Wild, the Master Sword loses power after a certain amount of time or a certain amount of hits unless you are in the vicinity of Hyrule Castle. If you use the sword anywhere else and depleted its charges, you would have to wait for the 10-minute timer to complete until the legendary sword was usable again. Now I believe that Breath of the Wild 2 could easily present the player with a quest that could extend the number of charges or reduce the timer. Another power-up option for the Master Sword would be to raise its main damage output. I remember playing through Breath of the Wild, and once I got the Master Sword, I was at a point in the game where I had like 10 weapons that were stronger than the Master Sword, and it was kind of odd to me how the Master Sword, the Blade of Evil's Bane, was really weak actually. The sword had actually really weak damage as well at only 30, which would double around the castle or when facing ancient enemies. A story quest exploring the history of the sword in Breath of the Wild would give more insight into Zelda's research and where the story of the famous blade came from. Obviously, Zelda fans, we know that the Master Sword was created from the Skyward Sword in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. However, a little bit more context on that would be amazing. Hint hint, a remake of Skyward Sword. Now, the other option, unfortunately, is just to fetch it again. Things happen, and then more importantly, so does the plot. Booting up the sequel to Breath of the Wild for the first time will give us all the important details and as well as the setup for the game. Link could lose the Master Sword in the first few minutes of the primary cutscene, leaving the player the chance to go on and search for it in the world map once again. Perhaps the quest would take the player through more flashbacks of Link's memories. Time traveling is also a very possible idea here, considering this has already taken place in a lot of the other Zelda games. Traveling back to the Lost Woods and the temple that housed the Master Sword in all of its glory to figure out where to find it after its disappearance. The sequel to Breath of the Wild would be the first direct sequel to a Zelda game in the franchise where the Master Sword would come into play immediately. This is also new territory for Nintendo, as the blade has always been sealed away or mysteriously disappears between entries, prompting the new hero to go on a search to find it. Now, after the long and intense journey that some players had to go through to get the 13 hearts to obtain the Master Sword in the original Breath of the Wild, the idea of having Link lose it early on in the second game, it honestly does feel like bad storytelling. Yeah, I know it's my theory, but still, I don't know if this would be good for sales. Considering that this game takes place within the same timeline of the original, it makes sense to have upgrades for the legendary blade than rather having us fetch the blade yet again. So my Zelda fans, as always, I appreciate your time and I hope you will find some value here today. Remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'd love to have you here. And be sure to check out the other Zelda videos on the channel. Continue to be the light in someone's life, and remember, it's dangerous to go alone. I'll see you guys over on another video.